Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum coming to you from KSCO Radio, and I'm really happy to be here. First and foremost, I've had a lot of people reach out regarding my last show, and I really appreciate the feelings. Sometimes there's things that occur to people we love or even to ourselves that are, really kind of make us aware of where we are on this planet and why, and maybe it helps us understand our purpose a little better. So today I really want to help or talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, which is people being able to enjoy their life, and one of the main things I'm working right now with a lot of people in their 50s and above. I mean, I treat all ages, but something that just walks into my office more and more and more these days are people who've been diagnosed with something like peripheral neuropathy. And so peripheral neuropathy is something that we're very, very successful in treating most of the time. And I just want you to be aware of that and know that something can be done about it. So um, I gave a talk to a group the other day in the community, a community group that helps, people and organizations. That's their purpose, service group. And when I looked around at them, a lot of them were retired, and I see very similar situations with a lot of people in this age group, which is they've worked hard. They've put money away for their golden years. They've followed whatever medical advice that they found suited them at the time. They are ready to go do fun stuff with the rest of their life, but their body limits them and ability to do that because of infirmaries or problems with their health. And I really want to talk about a couple things, and it's really related um, to one thing, and that's inflammation, chronic inflammation. You may or may not have heard about this much in the news, but it's something that people talk about a lot. A lot of the natural healthcare people talk about chronic inflammation. 15 out of 16 of the leading causes of chronic disease leading to death, 15 out of 16 of them are um, have as one of their major roots chronic inflammation, inflammation at in throughout the whole body, and that starts at a cellular level. So inflammation at a cellular level is something that really needs to be addressed. And by addressing inflammation at a cellular level, you can help your body get better and healthier. So this radio show is always up on YouTube, Dr. Duncan McCollum YouTube, within a day or so. So if you ever want to watch one of these live, I do it video. And so there's some good information. I'm holding up what is a cell here, the inside of one of the 75 trillion cells that you have. And it's pretty cool because the outside of the cell is made up of different types of oils, healthy oils and membranes that will allow hormones to attach to the cell. It will allow nutrients, vitamins, minerals to get into the cell, fuel in the form of glucose and ketones, which are fats, to get into the cell to be burned in this little thing called a mitochondria. The mitochondria is the power plant of the cell. And as long as this is all doing well, the body's going to really have the best resiliency and the best ability to heal and function well. I just took a friend of mine's car into the shop, and it was a used car when he bought it. And as it turns out, whoever rebuilt it had connected the radiator wrong to where it was flooding the transmission. And luckily, we caught it before it blew up. But the thing about that is if you don't know what you're doing and you're trying to fix something, a lot of times you can cause more trouble. And a lot of times people come into the office and they've got bags and bags and bags of supplements. They hear about it, they start, they quit taking them because they don't get an immediate result. And sometimes you're doing more harm than good. So that can cause inflammation. Inflammation chronically in the body ends up in the brain, inflammation in the brain is what causes all kinds of bad genes to turn on, which can be, Alzheimer's disease is a genetic gene, a gene that gets turned on. There's like seven last time I knew. Different dementias, different problems with Parkinson's and all that are genes that get turned on because of inflammation in the body, in the brain, that don't allow the cells in different parts of the body to stay clean and to get the nutrients they need, so they start to break down. So when we're looking at symptoms, symptoms are actually your friend. Symptoms may be the solution actually to your health, not the problem with your health. And as long as we're treating the solution only by masking it or covering it up and not looking for the actual cause of the problem, we may go blindly into the future, not knowing that our health is getting worse and worse and worse until the symptom gets so bad that it is affecting our health. And as I was looking at this group of individuals that I was talking to Tuesday night and assessing their eyes looking at me as I was trying to get across to them my my intention of helping them learn how to get themselves healthier. Um, you can see different doubts or different disbeliefs or not trusting what I'm saying. Other people eager to hear more. And understandably, this is a field, the health field, where we've had so much um, thievery, controversy, bad suggestions, charlatans, you know, from all different types of medical. Chiropractors used to be called quacks, quackopractors, and that's all because and there was a committee designed to destroy us back early in the 1900s by the powers that be that started the allopathic medicine, which wiped out all of the homeopathic colleges by one letter, by one journalist named Fletcher, who worked for one big oil tycoon. And they basically discredited all of homeopathy. They discredited the idea that the body had the ability to heal itself, and instilled in us at that time that our body doesn't have the ability to heal itself. And without this particular thing, you're going to get sick and die. And as a result, we have been getting less healthy, less healthy. When we take the power away from anything, do they get better or worse? Take a power away from a young boy or a young girl. Do they get stronger or weaker? Take the decision making away from an individual. Do they become more robotic or more creative? Your body's got everything it needs in order to heal itself. We just need to eliminate the things that we've added to our environment that are making our body sick, because they get in our body. If you're paying any attention to what's going on with the human health services in this country, there's a big move to change the food supply, to get the toxins out of our food, the fillers out of our food. Back in the even 1970, no, 1992, I have a book by Sally Fallon called Nourishing Traditions, and where she quotes the head of the nutritional department of a major university. And I won't say which one because I can't remember, but his name was Fredericks, I believe. And he said that if you, quote, paraphrased quote, if people didn't love sugar, they wouldn't eat it. Sugar is used to make foods taste better. They also said that sugar, whether it comes from fruit, vegetables, or cane sugar, doesn't matter, it's all the same. Well, the molecule may be the same, but the way the body breaks it down and processes it and where that sugar came from, like sugar that comes out of fruits or vegetables or even protein, has a lot of other parts to it that break down into amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, minerals, fibers, substances that challenge our body to be able to get the necessary parts of that food. So diet is very important, but understanding what you're taking and what you're putting in your body is really important. So, I've talked about this in the last few weeks that red dye number 3 has been outlawed now. Thank God. It's been known to cause cancer for several years, decades. So they finally outlawed it. Isn't that great? We're not going to have red dye number 3 in our food anymore. But that outlaw date doesn't take effect till July 15th, 2027. So if I told you, hey, if you drink that liquid, it's going to kill you, but keep drinking it until January 15th, 2027, because by that time we're going to make sure it's not available. You'd look at me and go, man, you're crazy. I'm not going to drink this stuff anymore. But the thing is that we're so used to going to the stores and buying foods without looking at the label, trusting the farms that it came from or what country it came from, we have become very sick. So, and if you don't know, we're rated the most unhealthy country in the industrialized world, which is not very good considering, we are the wealthiest country in the world, I believe, or close to it. And so here's a quick gem of what you can do food-wise. When you go into a grocery store, walk in the door, take a right. That's usually going to take you around the produce department. And so you take a right, go get all your organic fresh produce. Then you go across the back of the store and get your organic um, milk products if you're going to take them, like, whole whipping cream to put in your coffee because you need that good fat to help your diet work well. If you're going to drink milk, organic milk, whole milk, not no half milk or 2%, and I'll explain why in a second. Walk all the way across to the other aisle to the other side and pick up any kind of organically grown grass-fed meats that you can. Then there's one aisle to go down, get your paper products and anything else that you might need there. Hopefully, healthy paper products, not ones that have been bleached to death and full of toxins. If you just did that and cooked organic food every day and didn't buy foods that had names on it that you couldn't read, you couldn't pronounce. Like if you pick up a box of food that has words on it you can't name or pronounce, put it down and get the heck out of that aisle because those are toxins. So that's a great thing to do. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum, by the way, McCollum Family Chiropractic here in Capitola. And I'm just wanting to address some of the reasons our body gets so inflamed these days, because chronic inflammation is the key to chronic disease. I mentioned early in the show that they say that 15 out of 16 of the most common chronic diseases that are affecting our health and potentially killing us have chronic inflammation at the core. So chronic inflammation equals chronic disease. My book, Turn Back Your Biological Clock, which you can get on Amazon, is really explains this very well. So Turn Back Your Biological Clock. If you want a nice, I think it's a fun read because I made it a story about a 63-year-old who woke up, just had to make a decision if he wanted to stay alive or not. And he went down this path that I'd like to encourage you to look at on how you can become more healthy. But the main thing to really get back to is the fact that symptoms are your friend and they are actually the solution to your health. That's a new concept. So this is Dr. Duncan McCollum. I'm going to take a short pause for a commercial break, and I will be back in just a second. Hey everybody, Dr. Duncan McCollum here, and I want to encourage you to come into our office and try a mapping session with our TRT machine, our softwave therapy machine. It is pretty amazing. It's a true lithotripsy machine, which they used to use to break kidney stones up, and they still do in the hospitals. But they've utilized it and changed its function around and gave it a different modality of application to where it actually can help create stem cells in your body or drag your own stem cells to an area that needs to be healed. We have tremendous results with knee pain, shoulder pain, or dysfunction, not just pain, dysfunction, scar tissue, hips, low backs, upper backs, feet, hands. This machine has revolutionized my practice because when I got it in probably, I think it was 2018 or 19, there were only 200 in the country. We have had a lot of success and helped a lot of people. So if you're interested in trying our $49 mapping session with a stem cell machine, please call 831-459-9990 and say, hey, I want to try that stem cell machine, and we'd be more than happy to have you come on in to get it checked. And so this is a great way to improve your health. Dr. Duncan McCollum, 831-459-9990 for the $49 special on the softwave therapy stem cell machine. Thank you very much. Okay, this is Dr. McCollum. I am back to continue on with our thought process on how to stay healthy in today's world, how to get healthy in today's world. The most important thing we need to do is decrease the inflammation in our body. If we can decrease the inflammation, we can increase the body's ability to heal. A couple different concepts I talk about in my book, Turn Back Your Biological Clock, of course, is uh, intermittent fasting and the ketogenic diet. But let's just start with fasting and the concept of fasting. And what is that? Oh, I could never do it, right? I remember the first time I tried it, I was scared of the fact of not eating. And that's because your body is so used to craving these simple sugar that turn, the carbohydrates that turn to simple sugar so fast that you get somatic body conditions like, hunger pangs, headaches, weakness, fatigue, body brain fog and all this kind of stuff when your body doesn't eat. Now that's not healthy. It's not healthy that we don't eat. It's not healthy that your body is so dependent on immediate food in order to help those 75 trillion cells stay alive. Back in the early days, like the Pima Indians, for instance, they were some of the healthiest Indians or peoples on the planet. They lived in a desert and they would hunt down and eat meat for a day. And then they might go find some roots and various types of foliage, but they would not eat till they were full. They would eat until their body was satiated or until it needed it. Look at wild animals. Wild animals, you don't see fat wild animals out in the environment unless they're bear getting ready for hibernation. But even they know they have to eat more at the end of summer and fall in order to hibernate during the winter, at which point they're going to ketosis for a few months. The bears are burning ketones while they sleep. That's stored fat that they've put there on purpose for that occasion. The United States, we don't have that luxury of being able to utilize this that way because we have been basically very fortunate to be able to eat what we want, when we want, whenever we want, with whoever we want, and eat as much as we want. And that's been kind of true since World War II. So because we're able to get fresh pineapples from, some other country in the world or cantaloupe in the dead of winter. So at first it was a great thing, but what it's done is it's changed our body's ability to process food correctly. And it's given us a little bit of everything all at once rather than highs and lows of different types of food that help strengthen our body. Our body likes to have different types of diets throughout the different years. It's called diet variation. I talk about that in my book, Turn Back Your Biological Clock. So today's like spring just started. This is a perfect time to spring into health. And you do that by changing the things that you have been doing. And it might be that you just decide to stop eating processed food and start buying organic food. I've heard for so many years that organic food's too expensive. Well, it might be or it may not be, because if you're eating processed food, you're getting empty calories. So you're paying less for empty calories than you are paying more for something with really good vitamins and minerals that's going to keep you healthy for the long haul versus empty calories that are going to actually be toxic, cause chronic inflammation in your body, and make you sick. So what's really less expensive, staying healthy or being sick? I think staying healthy is a better plan personally. But, it's a hard thing. You've got to learn how to do this. It's not something that you just come across, it's you just like any muscle, you have to work that. You have to work your body's ability to digest food correctly. You've got to work on your digestive system. So we talked about chronic inflammation causing chronic disease. So let's get to the body function that's so related to that. So when we think about the digestive system, that starts in our mouth. When we put food in our mouth, saliva is mixed with whatever we put in there, and usually carbohydrates start to get broken down. As it goes down our throat or esophagus to our stomach, acids are mixed in, and and enzymes in the stomach are mixed in to start breaking down the proteins and the different types of substances in there, so that the your stomach creates hydrochloric acid, and you also get enzymes in there. And then it moves to the small intestine from your stomach. And there's something else happens. Calcium is taken out of that food you've eaten for the first 12 inches of your small intestine. Other enzymes and things are mixed into it, and it gets into your large intestine, where fats are broken down and proteins are further broken down. And this is a really cool system. And then stuff is eliminated out of the back, just like exhaust is eliminated when your car's making fuel. Great system until it breaks down. What breaks down? It starts usually from the bottom up. No pun intended. It starts from inflammation in your large intestine from all of the poisons and chronic bad foods you've eaten, from the stress that you've been under, from the antibiotics and drugs that you've taken, street drugs or not, from the alcohol that you've drinking, from the bad glutens that you've been eating, the food that I'll talk about glutens in a second, but those bad foods that weren't around before 1970 that are actually inflaming the walls of our large intestine, breaking those single cell thick intestinal walls apart and allowing these bad inflammatory foodstuffs and other things into our bloodstream. Those get into our bloodstream and get to those 75 trillion cells, and they screw up the cell wall so the cell wall can't function well. When a cell wall can't function well, it can't have vitamins and minerals that get into the cell. You can't have hormones or signaling elements get onto the cell because it's too crusty with bad oils. I did a clip the other day about what's worse, sugar or bad oils in your body. Well, we all know that sugar is bad for us, but eating these terrible oils like the seed oils and the processed food oils and the things you get at fast food and they cook French fries in, those oils, canola oil and the rest, they get into the cell wall of those 75 trillion cells and they short circuit them. They tilt them, kind of like a pinball machine, so you can't process food correctly. So this is a major problem with the health of people in our country. So there's there isn't like one thing that you can do to fix everything, but you can start to do one or two things at a time to change the course of your health. And so I talked about, I'll go back and cover a couple subjects here. I talked about eating or drinking whole milk versus partial milk. 2%, 1%, skim milk. This was a great idea that should have stayed a great idea, just like margarine was a great idea that should have stayed a great idea back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s of, the previous century. And what I mean by that, a great idea staying a great idea, is it should have never been implemented because, well, look at margarine, nickel inflated canola oil with yellow dye number 7 or 5 in it. All that did was clog up your cells, clog up your arteries, dry up your brain, and thicken the walls of your arteries with calcium deposits and other things. Same with the processed canola oil. It's a very toxic oil. They have to cook it at very high temperatures to break it down. And then they have to flavor it and color it because the flavoring it's terrible smell. It's rancid by the time you get it. That's causing chronic inflammation in the body. So we need to learn how to eliminate the bad oils and start to eat the good oils, which you can find on my website, but they're basically olive oil, coconut oil, um, avocado oil, and some healthy seed oils that haven't been heavily processed. But I would stick with those first. MCT oil to put in your coffee, healthy butter, organic, 100% organic butter, ghee, those things help make the cell wall resilient. We want a healthy cell wall. The other thing I mentioned was the milk. And if you're going to drink milk or dairy products, and if you don't, great. But if you like some sometimes, then you have to realize that when they take pure milk and they break down and make skim milk, we used to think, oh, that will make you skinnier. It doesn't. Okay. They take those fat molecules in the milk, which are all different sizes, globules in there, and they take a lot of them out. It's now a foreign process that your body does not know about because it's somewhere in nature that they don't know. So we want to eat whole foods, not half foods. If it wasn't made in nature that way, you shouldn't consume it. So you want to drink whole milk if you're going to have milk. I mean, ideally, raw milk would be great, but it's outlawed in many states. We'll see what happens in the future here. But those are pure, good, healthy, pure proteins. And so that's one of the best ways to make sure that we keep inflammation out of our body is quit eating foods that inflame us. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum, McCollum Family Chiropractic. I'm going to take a short break, a commercial break again, and I'll be back in just a sec. Well, this is me, Dr. Duncan McCollum, and I'm taking a minute to just talk to you about our chiropractic office here in Capitola. We specialize in helping people with peripheral neuropathy. We actually have a peripheral neuropathy evaluation that we can do. We charge $99 for that. Very complete, including x-rays, a thorough neurologic evaluation, and a report. We do thermographic imaging as well as 7 different tests of the peripheral nerves. Peripheral nerves are nerves that are outside of your spinal column. So those are the peripheral nerves. And they become damaged. They get poisoned from things like chemicals are in our environment, chemicals in the food we're eating, glyphosate that's liberally sprayed on our food, and all the forever chemicals, the stuff we put under our arms, on our, in our clothes, what we wash with. Really, it's time to start to take a look at what we've been told to use for years and start to get stuff that's natural and get the toxins out of there. I remember some of the soaps we were supposed to use, the antiperspirant soaps, and you all know the ones. There's chemicals in there that get into your pores and cause damage. So think about that. Even the aluminum that's been in so many different deodorants to help with perspiration. And it's, oh, it can't hurt you, it's on your skin. Well, you can put a patch on your skin today and get medication delivered through the skin into the patch. So, I mean, from the patch into the skin, into the bloodstream, into the body. So it can't have it both ways. Either it does get into your skin or it doesn't get into your skin. So is it when it's benefiting to get a drug into your body, it can get into the skin? But when it's something healthful for you, it can't get into the skin. I don't get it. So, the thing to understand really is we don't understand. We need to really help each other learn more about how to be and stay healthy. And that's my goal at McCollum Family Chiropractic and why I'm on the radio. Okay. Because I was talking to a friend just the other day, and she said, I was watching some of your little short videos, and I always learn something when you say that. And when I do those videos, well, the truth of the matter is, I studied so much stuff for so long, it just comes out as a concept. And just knowing the information is not the same as implementing it. You can't know all about something and not actually do it. You can know all about tractors by reading a book on a tractor, but you may not be able to get on it and drive it right away. So having a knowledge of something and then the practical application of something are two different things. We all know how to be healthy, but in a great large, we're not very healthy. So sometimes I'm talking to a patient about their health, and I see them when I'm talking about toxins in the body, they're shaking their head and go, "Oh yeah, I've done that. I got something, and I'm taking, Corella, or I'm taking cilantro, and I'm, been fasting one meal a day for 5 years and I'm still not healthy. Well, it's because you don't have all the pieces, right? You can't fast every day and be healthy. Diet variation means you have sometimes you eat a lot, sometimes you don't. And there's a process to get the body to release toxins. So it's not a matter of just getting healthy. If you could just take supplements and get healthy, we'd all be healthy. Why aren't we? Because we're not getting rid of the bad stuff that made us unhealthy in the first place. And the real story here is some of this stuff comes down through mom's umbilical cord 4 generations. Heavy metals like mercury and lead and cadmium and barium and all these beryllium, all these other things we come into this world already with a stacked deck. Okay. And then we add to that stacked deck. Pretty soon the cards are marked and you have bad genes turning on, or chronic inflammatory diseases, or digestive disorders, or the body's so inflamed that you have joint problems. You can't walk, you can't move, it's hard to sleep, you're always in pain. This is not the way to live life. I did my show last week. I talked about a very unfortunate situation where somebody isn't going to have the opportunity to enjoy the rest of their life on this planet. And it was a young person. And, it's always a wake up call to anybody. What could we do different? How could we have helped this person? What do we need to do to help ourselves before it's too late? Is there a loved one that we could help that we just don't like to talk to because they lash out whenever we try to help them? So, maybe you just have somebody listen to my radio show or go to my YouTube channel, Dr. Duncan McCollum. I have over 200 podcasts that you can listen to over the last 5 to 7 years, and they're all on natural ways to be healthy. And it's Duncan McCollum. It's McCollum Wellness Radio. Go to any podcast and go to McCollum Wellness Radio, and you can find what we're talking about. You can find information that will just get educated. You need to hear it more than once. You need to hear it over and over. There's a lot of times people get information off the internet and then they try to implement it only to become sick and discouraged and then quit. And oftentimes you're in worse shape than you were before you mixed up the mud at the bottom of the pond. So we want to try to discourage that. But education is great, learn. But I've been in practicing health for 35 years as a chiropractor here in Capitola. A lot of nutritional stuff. I've studied with people that studied directly under Linus Pauling, many different biochemists. Dr. Pampa recently, who's an amazing guy. Some of the scientists right now all over the globe that are finding different ways to help the body get healthy despite the disease processes. And it's pretty amazing to know that our body, sometimes when you're stuck in a medical situation because of a health problem, you don't feel like you want to let go of the training wheels and you want to go down that path. But augmenting and supporting the body via the supplements are not something that the medical profession is really up on, and they usually don't recommend it. Only because they probably don't know much about it, I would think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But, no matter what you're going through, your body wants to be healthy and it does want to heal. So, my book, Turn Back Your Biological Clock, you can get it on Amazon, Dr. Duncan McCollum. It's in, Kindle or paperback. I don't have it audio yet. I hope to soon. But, my main goal is that we do something to help you or give you information. Peripheral neuropathy is kind of the theme of the show, although I just start talking about health in general because we all need to understand how to be and stay healthy. So peripheral neuropathy is when your extremities, like your feet or your hands, start to have symptoms that are limiting your ability to live life the way you had hoped to. So many times we get to retirement age or before it, thinking that we're going to go live life to the fullest, but our health is not there. We put together a financial legacy, but we did not put together a health legacy. So the health legacy is something which would have meant you should have started 30, 40 years ago, to become healthy. And so it's not too late until it's too late. So, think about what you can do to become healthier now. So many times people come in with chronic disease processes going on, digestive disorders, lung, heart, brain fog, all this stuff. And I talk to them about health and potentially toxicity, and they go, "Look, I've been eating incredibly healthy for 10 years." No, it can't be that. I've been eating healthy for 10 years. Well, it's kind of hard to go, it ain't what you ate for the last 10 years, it's what you ate for the first 40. That stuff made an impact on your body, and you haven't corrected that yet. Now, there's a lot that we can do to help it, but just eating well doesn't mean you're going to fix it. Here's an example. You buy an old broke down 1956, that's my year, Chevy, and it's kind of running roughly. And you go, I'm only going to put the best oil in this thing. I'm going to put the best antifreeze in and the best transmission fluid. And I'm going to change the windshield wipers and the oil filters and the um, air filters. And I'm going to have a well-running car. Well, I've been doing that for 10 years. I've been changing the oil and doing it. Well, the car is 69 years old. You haven't fixed what's been breaking it down up to that point. So I'll tell you one of the major things people come in and we look at their spinal issues, we look at toxicity issues, health issues, um, all these different things. And oftentimes they say, well, where do I start? It's different for everybody, but we know that the brain has 30, this comes out of the brain, goes down the spine, there's 31 nerves that come out of each side. That's 64 nerves that serve 75 trillion cells. So definitely you want to make sure that's working well. And then we have to take a look at what do we do next. So people with peripheral neuropathy, for instance, we're not going to go ahead and try to plug the hole in the boat. In other words, eliminate the toxic chemicals from somewhere in the body that are killing the nerves. We've got to stop the nerves from dying first. So that's what I call bailing out the boat, where we start to regenerate the peripheral nerves with various techniques that we have found that work. And they're even talked about on things like PubMed and stuff like that. The stem cell machine that we have, the TRT machine, the lasers that we have, all different colors, green, violet, and red, help increase the energy in the mitochondria of the cell so your body can get healthy. So these are all things that, we do. We put you on different machines here to increase the lymphatic drainage and tone the muscles and the blood vessels, increase circulation. And, we're going to take you where you're at and get you as good as we can get you, providing you allow us to, if we think we can help you. So we just need to do that assessment, especially with the peripheral neuropathy people. Don't wait till that hockey stick goes straight up in the air. Oftentimes people come in, they're getting those symptoms of numbness, tingling. You can't put a sheet on your feet. It's hard walking. You feel like you have wadded up socks under there. It's hard to find the gas pedal from the brake. We hear that, and that's getting to be too late. Trouble walking. I tripped on that curb and fell. Well, in the old days, you tripped on the curb and caught your balance. Your nerves communicating from your feet to your brain are not working as well as they should. So we need to find that and rectify it as quickly as we can. Your muscles are wasting. You're not eating the right type of food. You might be on doing some kind of things like drinking more alcohol that tells your sugar, creates sugar that makes you not as hungry, so you don't seek the right nutrients. And sugar alone does not build a healthy body. And there's even if you smoked years ago and you don't anymore, that could be affecting you. But you are where you are today. Bring your body in and let us look at it and see what we can do to help you. Again, Dr. Duncan McCollum, McCollum Family Chiropractic. Um, Almost a day. Some days go by where I'm so busy I don't get a chance to think in a lot of depth. My family would probably tell you I never do. But when we find out that people's lives are failing or have failed, and at a young age or any age, you wonder what could have, when did they know that innately that something was wrong and they didn't pull the trigger. They didn't do something to correct it. When did they know that? If they would have made a decision to change something, would it have helped them? Well, I always like to think it's not too late until it's too late, of course, right? But you can always do something to be healthy. Um, Listen, one of the biggest problems people have right now is ambulation in their older age, even younger. It's hard for you. You have a knee injury, or it's hard to walk on your knee more than half a mile, maybe one or both, or your hips or your low back. Just standing for 20, 30 minutes causes pain. So, sure, you're not going to want to go walk a mile or two because you've got pain and it's frustrating. And when you do it, you feel defeated. So that's one of the things that we can help potentially with our stem cell machine, the softwave therapy machine. That's a $49 thing to find out if we can help you. Heck, you can barely buy a cup of coffee for $49 anymore. But we do this because we don't want you to have to spend an arm and a leg, no pun intended, to find out if we can help you. If it helps, we'll figure out how to get you to whatever you want, the top of your game or just better, right? But we're going to look at your body as a whole. Sometimes we take a little bit at a time, find the one that needs the biggest impact first, which can be your pains that are stopping you from functioning, digestive disorders that are stopping you from getting the energy you need, um, or something like headaches, gut problems, shoulder problems. You deserve to be healthy and you deserve to live this life as healthy and happy as possible. There are no shortcuts, unfortunately. I think we've all found that out by now. Occasionally, I still fall for the shiny object, reach out to it, thinking this is a shortcut to something, and inevitably, I get more likely I'll get burned, so or hooked. So, I encourage you to, you know, like Reagan said, trust but verify. Trust in your own body's ability to heal itself and then come and let us look at you if you like, and then we'll verify whether or not we can help you. You can take that information and find out whether or not you want to try or not. So there's one thing that we specialize in is health or corrective care, not symptom relief care, which pretty much symptoms, by the way, and I mentioned this earlier, and I'll mention again, symptoms are a really good thing because symptoms are telling you that something is wrong underneath. If it weren't for symptoms and you just drop dead without even knowing that there was a symptom, that wouldn't be a very fun game. So pay attention to them. Don't cover them up and keep going. It's like putting a piece of black tape over the red light on your dashboard and heading to New York in the heat of summer or the cold of winter. Not advisable. I don't think any of us of right mind would do that. Yet we'll ignore our bodies uh, talking to us symptom wise, and we'll just move forward, covering them up and covering them up and covering them up until something doesn't work anymore. And whoever educated us to that degree didn't do us a favor. So many people are so stuck in that mindset that they may not change this lifetime. They might go down that path. And quite honestly, and unfortunately, there's not enough practitioners out here um, like me or similarly that want to help you turn your body back healthy, not just cover up your symptoms with a one or two treatments or something, which isn't bad because that might get you going. But if you really want to, live for the future, then you got to do something to get you there. I just found out a couple, 3 or 4 weeks ago that I'm going to be a grandfather. 69 years old, I'm going to be a grandfather. That gave me a whole new reason to do more, to be healthier and to live better. So, I've been a chiropractor for 35 years. Do I always do everything right? No, I don't. I'm just like everybody else. I have those things that I like to, indulge in that I probably shouldn't. But if I do more of the right stuff than the wrong stuff, my body's going to be very forgiving. A good friend of mine, he was a coach of mine for a long time, Dr. Um, John. Baker always used to say, life is not to be carefully coddled to the grave, but it's to be running to the grave, sliding in at 100 miles an hour, chocolate in one hand, martini in the other, going, woohoo, what a ride. Now, you may not drink martinis and you may not eat chocolate, but we should be able to enjoy our life until we no longer can. Um, there's so much going on. We were on a call with Dr. Pompa, my good friend, with about 30 other docs Tuesday. And pretty amazing call with one of the doctors whose father was a doctor back in the turn of the century, who also was related to some doctor that found some discoveries in the 1800s that actually helped people with some conditions that were pretty bad. Those solutions were put up to the medical profession, but denied, and it became illegal to talk about them. And now, with the changing of the guard, we are hopefully at Washington, we're going to be able to bring some of these natural healing processes back under the eyes of the individual and allow them to make some choices. So, so much is there. We were talking about fasting earlier. We know that when you do a 24-hour fast or a 48-hour fast or even a 72-hour fast, 72-hour fast done correctly is said in the literature to completely rebuild your immune system. Because when you do a 72-hour fast, the white blood cells are broken down and new ones are created. When our blood cells hang around too much, the white blood cells, which are immune cells, they actually become jaded to certain conditions. And then they no longer respond to that condition, or they respond poorly, giving you autoimmune type disease. So if we can reset our immune system with a 72-hour fast, wouldn't that be a good thing to do? We also know that when you, at different levels of this fast, your body's producing new stem cells at a rapid rate. So when do you do this? Don't go out and do it tomorrow without understanding how to do it, because you'll make yourself sick. You'll get these things called Hertz reactions, and that will discourage you from doing what you need to do to be and stay healthy. So in my book, Turn Back Your Biological Clock, you can learn about this stuff. I also have a book called New Hope for Sciatica that I also go into this a little bit more scientifically. But I think I really want to encourage people to decide that you can be healthier and then decide to look at ways to make that happen. So Dr. Duncan McCollum, McCollum Family Chiropractic. We're here in the heart of Capitola by Bed Bath and Beyond, where Bed Bath and Beyond used to be, by in between Trader Joe's and FedEx, closer to FedEx. But I never charge to sit down and talk to anybody about their health condition. And if I think I can help you, I'll let you know. Um, One of the hardest things, this was something I learned from a gentleman named Joe Polish, a very amazing guy. And he was talking to our group the other day, and he said, you know what? Learning is something you always need to do, but unlearning is actually more important than learning. I thought about that and go, well, why would unlearning be more important than learning? Because if we are too learned, that means that we already made up our mind and we can no longer evaluate correctly what's good or bad. So learning is great and we should always be willing to learn, but unlearning has to be its predecessor. Because if you have too many concepts in your mind, whether you've actually tried them or they're just dogmatic, meaning you've memorized these things that somebody put in front of you, you can't use them, but the square hypotenuse of the triangle is equal to sum of the square of the sides, or whatever the scarecrow said. We know that data, we can spit it out, but we can't apply it. Then what good is it? So if you're healthy, 100% as healthy as you'd like to be, you don't have any predilection to genetic disease, you can still do every activity you want, then even you should unlearn and learn what's going on in the world of natural health these days. So back in the 70s, chiropractic was looked at as quackery. And my family would never let me go to a chiropractor. In 1985 or 6, I fell out of a tree 20 feet and broke my back. Went undiagnosed because nobody thought a kid could have an injury like that. Back then, believe it or not, young kids were supposed to be seen and not heard. So they doled out drugs to me. I talked about my story last week and I got a lot of calls from people saying, thank you for being vulnerable. Well, I was vulnerable because of, another person in my life that I cared for deeply. And sometimes it's important just to be able to put the cards on the table and see what's going on. But if you want to try to find out whether or not you can be healthy, I mean, here's the best thing you can do. If you got an ache or pain, knee, hip, joint, shoulder, just pay 49 bucks. Come on in and get our TRT thing. You'll find out about my staff. You'll see how amazing they are. You'll find out if we can help you pretty much within short order. You get a chance to sit down and we'll talk. You and I will talk together. We'll get an x-ray of the area that you're concerned with to make sure that there isn't an underlying problem. And then we'll do one of our stem cell treatments. We'll have one of our techs, Angus, Ray, or Lori, do one of the stem cell treatments on you, and we'll send you home with some instructions, have you come back and go, hey, how'd it go? That's all included for 49 bucks. It's a great deal. And if it changes your health for the better, and we give you guidance so that you can live a happier, healthier life, then my purpose is fulfilled for that moment in time. But I want to do it more and more and more. Having had dyslexia as a kid, being told I was, basically stupid by my teachers. My dad, the principal, high school principal, pulled my dad up and said might as well just take me out of school. I'm an idiot. Being on all those drugs, I really had not much to live for until a family member of mine, my sister, came and helped me realize there was something to do. And now I've spent my life trying to help as many people as I can. And sometimes I succeed, sometimes I don't. But at least I'm out here doing everything I can to try to help. So any of you that have been listening to me for a long time and you haven't come on in. Let's meet, let's talk, let's see if the stem cell treatment can help you, and then come on in and we'll talk about it. And if you haven't been in, I'd love to meet you. Get the book, Turn Back Your Biological Clock. Listen to my podcast, McCollum Wellness Radio. I have over 200 podcasts recorded now. And go to my YouTube channel, Dr. Duncan McCollum on YouTube. Hundreds of videos of me doing these shows that you can see on almost every topic having to do with health. I'm on the radio every Saturday at KSCO 1 to 2, and then 3 to 4 on Mondays, KSCO. And I would love for you to participate. Let me know, reach out, info@mccollumwellness.com, and just say, hey, I listened to your show, not ready to come in, but thank you for doing what you're doing. Or, my family member or I have a question about something. Can you help me with this? And, we'll see if we can. The one thing about basketball is you always miss 100% of the shots you never take. So take a shot and see if you hit. See if we're a match for you, see if we can help. You'll never know, unless you do. Dr. Duncan McCollum, KSCO Radio, 831-459-9990. McCollum Family Chiropractic in Capitola, info@McCollum Family Chiropractic or info@McCollum Wellness. But call me, come in and meet me, 831-459-9990. We'd love to see you here at the office, and I look forward to it. So until now, as Roy Rogers and Dale Evans used to say, happy trails to you until we meet again. And I sure hope that we do. Thank you very much. Have an amazing day and an amazing life. Happy spring.